Okay, this video is an example of a learner achieving full marks, 15 out of 15, with relatively few words. When I first looked at the question, I saw there was 334 words. Didn't think the candidate was going to do particularly well based on there not being that much in the way of content there, but they actually managed to do really well, scored full marks. Have a look at how I mark it, see if it gives you any valuable information to use with your own practice exam questions. Okay, the word count on this one is 334 words for a 15-point question. That's not a lot really. You need to be sort of in the region of 450, 500 words. So I don't think this is going to be a high score, but let's have a look at it. Negative indicators of health and safety culture is what we are after. There are many negative indicators of health and safety culture. Again, these types of sentences, you don't need to bother with those because you're not really going to gain any points for. You can put them in if you want to, but just be aware you're not going to gain points because you're not actually making a point. The most obvious indicator being the 2 deaths that occurred. That sounds really obvious, but that does score a point. So I'll bold that, mark that. There is also the fact that the organisation, directors and duty shift managers were all prosecuted. That is another good indicator. There seems to be no real commitment to health and safety from upper management. Gets a mark. There'd be more marks available for some examples of top management not being committed. Let's see if that comes through. It is said that directors do not believe that health and safety is a full-time job and that there is no budget for health and safety. Yep, that scores. Directors also often allow workers to cut corners. That would score a mark. This is one of those situations where you either get a mark for there being no budget for health and safety, or saying that the directors often allow workers to cut corners, but not both. Prioritising profit over employee safety is another thing that would have scored a mark. But all those 3 things that are examples of no commitment from upper management, there being no budget, allowing workers to cut corners, prioritising profit over safety. This is an example of a situation where NEBOSH have decided that they will allow an examiner to give a 1 mark for either of those things, but not all of them. So this really does emphasise the need for you to be very broad in your answer. I see this quite a lot with this particular question, that sometimes literally all a learner will talk about is the lack of commitment from top management, and there's nothing else in their answer. That just everything they're saying is about the lack of commitment from top management, which does score some points, but only very low numbers of points. They needed to get good marks. They would have needed to really, throw the net wider, so to speak. Before we continue, if you're considering a move towards working in health and safety, it's absolutely essential that you're well prepared. That's why I want to take a quick second to let you know that you can study for the IOSH Managing Safely or the NEBOSH General Certificate, both national and international versions, online with us at Stockwell Safety. So if you're ready to take the first step towards a rewarding career in health and safety, see the links in the description to explore our industry-leading e-learning, IOSH and NEBOSH courses. There seems to be a severe lack of training of employees in the organisation, and management's attitude towards training is not good. So I'll give a mark for a severe lack of training, and then there's going to be a few marks available for examples of where that lack of training is manifest in the scenario. Workers said that there is not much in the way of training because the directors feel it is wasting working time. This is ground that we've already been over. None of the workers at the scene of the accident were first aid trained. Yes, that is a mark. The newly promoted maintenance engineer did not have the relevant training for his post. Yep, that scores a mark. He had not been present when an oven had needed entering before, was not familiar with the specialist tools required, and didn't even know where to find them. It's the, yeah, I can give a mark there, because I think I'll give a mark there for kind of like the whole sentence is covering something that is on the mark scheme. That's the maximum amount of marks I'm allowed to give now in relation to training and competence issues. So let's see what else is here. Staff do not appear competent in their roles. Nobody knew to check the temperature gauge on the oven before entering. When the accident happened, workers were frantic and the shift manager on duty did not take control of the situation. These things that are being said now is not wrong, but I've exhausted the amount of marks I'm able to give for training and competence issues. Staff turnover seems to be high, as many of those that have been trained in first aid had since left the organisation. Yep, staff turnover. You know, high staff turnover is an indicator of a poor or a negative health and safety culture. Also, some workers felt they could no longer work at the bakery after the incident and resigned. That is also worthy of a mark. There seems to be no proper health and safety documentation or accident reporting process at the bakery. That is worthy of a mark. Risk assessments for the ovens and other machinery were out of date. That's a mark. Learner's doing really well here. Accidents and near misses frequently occur but are not formally reported. You know, if I was an auditor and I uncovered that, I would not be happy. So that is a mark for that. No records of inspections and maintenance are kept, and an engineer's diary just isn't suitable data to use for an audit. Yeah, marks there for, and yeah, with this one, it's kind of worth pointing out that if you're going to talk about maintenance, also talk about inspections, because sometimes you can get points for mentioning both things. But okay, that's the end of the text. I think the candidate's done pretty well here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I didn't think it was going to go that way. 15 out of 15. That's how you do it.